Hello, everybody. Welcome back to That's Life podcast. I'm your host, Abby Luckett, and life has a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and many in-betweens, but the thing that remains consistent is our God. So let's see what we talk about today. To go through an ED or any sort of food, body image, over-exercising struggle can be extremely difficult for the person that's going through it. But something that isn't highlighted as much is the difficulty of a significant other that goes through it alongside with you. Even though they may not be feeling the feelings that you're feeling, they're still having to navigate it with you and still having to digest all of those thoughts alongside you. And so today I thought that I would bring on my lovely husband,
Abby's favorite person in the whole wide world.
This is true. He's my favorite person in the whole wide world.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to talk about all things ED, over-exercising, under-fueling, period recovery, literally everything in this podcast today. How are you feeling?
I feel great. I think it's probably important to start out with is just to let everybody know that this is a very new world to me. Mm-hmm. And I had zero knowledge of any of that. Yeah. Until you and I got together. Right. So I knew nothing about it, didn't know anybody that struggled with it or didn't know anybody that struggled with it openly. So yeah, it's probably, I've learned a lot since 2023.
I remember like when we first started dating, Ryan and I, okay, this is like kind of off topic, but one of our first dates, we were both pretty healthy eaters. And one of our first dates, we went to Dairy Queen. No, we went to Crumble Cookie. We got a 4-pack of Crumble Cookies and then we took those Crumble Cookies to Dairy Queen and had them blend in the cookies with the Blizzard.
The plain Blizzard.
And like on a normal night, I wasn't restricting at the time that I met Ryan, but I soon went down that path. But even then, that was like not a thing I ever did. Like something about love makes you do some crazy things. And the thing is, I don't think you were like that either.
No, so, I mean, I used to eat Crumble Cookies and I had Dairy Queen, but it was very on occasion and usually was with my friends just randomly. Like if we were on a vacation or if I was going to see friends out of town, something like that. But it was never just spur of the moment, like, hey, let's go get 4 Crumble Cookies and then go to Dairy Queen. That never happened.
Which I don't think either of us really genuinely wanted to do that maybe necessarily. We just kind of did it because we thought the other person wanted to do it.
One of the other would have been, like, we probably wouldn't be talking about this, but the fact that we got 4 Crumble Cookies. And I remember, what?
It's just funny.
I remember Abby only ate, like, very little of her Dairy Queen Blizzard because
my stomach was hurting.
Yeah, I remember that. And so I was driving home after I dropped her off and was like eating her Dairy Queen Blizzard.
Which fast forward to us on our honeymoon and so on in our first years of marriage.
And it's like, oh, that kind of checks out.
Yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah, we are each other's worst enemy when it comes to sweets.
But we're also each other's best encouragers.
Oh, yeah.
And transitioning into that. So for those of you that don't know Ryan, I'm going to be the interviewer for this segment today. So please state your name at this time.
Well, you just said Ryan. So
your full name.
Ryan Evan Luckett.
It's Evan. He's being fancy and silly.
Fancy.
How old are you?
26, going on 27. I turned 27 in a couple months.
Whoa!
Which is crazy.
Okay, and prior to meeting me, what was your knowledge on like when I would say eating disorder, what would your brain go to before you met me?
So honestly, if I heard eating disorder prior to meeting you, I probably would have taken it as like somebody can't eat in the sense of they're sick and they can't keep food down.
Oh,
that's I think that's where my brain would go.
So it wasn't by choice. It was like a digestion thing.
Yes. I never, it's just so like a foreign concept to me. And I had never heard somebody talk about it as well. I had heard prior, I don't think it was one of my friends, but I'd heard maybe a friend of a friend were making themselves throw up.
Oh, okay.
And I had heard about that, but I never equated that to eating disorder.
Did you know that was a problem or did you think that was just like a normal thing?
I guess I didn't really like think of it as problem or bad or good. I was just like, oh, like I wonder why they're doing that. And it kind of just went about my business. I didn't really.
So you didn't necessarily think it was bad?
No, I just was like, oh, I guess they like the food just made them sick. So they made themselves throw up.
So you didn't think it was possible for someone to just stop eating because they wanted to like look a certain way or like they got so deep into not eating that they couldn't make themselves eat because it was like a mental problem. Like you didn't know that was a thing.
Well, it's funny though. Like you say that, and of course I would think that that's a bad thing. That language was just never spoken around me. Like somebody eating really healthy and trying to have a really good aesthetic, like body image wise, was always in my brain a good thing because they were prioritizing their health. And I had never heard of somebody overdoing it to the point of like, that's very unhealthy. I think one thing that God has taught me too, just like going from no knowledge of it to what I know now, is that there is a very different way to prioritize your health and prioritize God in that. And what that means is not idolizing your body over God, especially when it comes to weightlifting.
So did you think that there was a point to where you could exercise too much? Like, did you think that was a thing?
I never thought, I thought that was just hard, like hard work. And I thought that was like awesome and a good thing.
So like if someone were to come up to you before knowing me and they were like, yeah, I've worked out too much, I lost my period. Like, would you think that was like a good thing? Like, oh, no. Wow, you worked out so hard.
No, I wouldn't have think that was a good thing. I would have been like, oh, wait, how did that work? How does that work? I probably would have, asked questions. But I had never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Nobody that I had ran into prior had really struggled with that.
Yeah. So why would your brain go there?
Yeah. I feel like my relationship with food has always just been, eat and just do it for fun. Basically, like I ate to fuel my body, one, for physical activity. I was an athlete. So for those purposes. And then the other part was just like me and, my friend group, my, brothers and sister, we, got sweet treats for fun. And that was like a really fun thing to do. And I never once ever crossed my mind like somebody might struggle with this.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that I used to think like that 2 years ago or 3, whatever, however long we've been dating.
So,
or together.
Staying in the realm of before we met each other. So you said your eating was like eating to fuel, that sort of thing. But I remember you telling me like you would struggle like on a personal level, like knowing when to stop. Like if you saw one cookie, you would eat all 12 because it's like, oh, I'm just going to eat all these. Or
yeah, still do. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, but it's different.
Yeah, but the reason I would say I struggled is just like I didn't see that as a bad thing. It was just the food is good and like I just give in to eating it and it's kind of just funny. It's not like it's like this horrible thing. It's like, yeah, every now and then if I see a cookie, I'm eating all of those cookies. Or if I see a tub of ice cream, I'm probably eating the whole tub of ice cream. I always like that was just like not a bad thing to me.
Yeah. I just think I say that to say like there's a new awareness about it now.
Oh, 100%.
Because I remember you telling me like back in the day when you were really, really locked in, again, before we knew each other, you would tell me like, oh, I wouldn't go out to eat with my friends because I didn't want to be around that kind of food. Or, you would say no to opportunities because you weren't eating a certain way.
Yeah, no. In my mind, that was a really, really good thing because I was eating really, really healthy. And I guess whenever I would say I wouldn't go out to eat with my friends, the main reason was because I wanted to eat clean and not eat like bad food.
Right.
But I will say the caveat to that is taking it back to honoring God and your body. The reason I didn't want to eat fast food or restaurant food was not to prioritize ingredients and whole foods and eat what God has intended us to eat. The reason I was doing that was so that I could have a six-pack and so that my body could look as good as it was. Yeah. So
it's just an interesting thing to think about of like someone who grew up the way that you did, and it's like, yeah, like
can I say something else to that? And I want people to like hear me when I say this is once I started, God, like I became a Christian in 2020. So it's not like I've been follower of Jesus my entire life. Once I started realizing these patterns and like, oh, it's probably not good, I didn't really struggle with like changing that. Yeah. Whenever I say that, I don't want people to think like, oh, Ryan's got like this hidden thing. I really just like, oh yeah, I probably need to stop doing that, God. And it wasn't like a huge struggle for me. Like that's not, something like that has never been like such a huge idol in my life. There's other things that are huge idols in my life that, but that is something that I've never really like struggled with, like changing that type of mindset and like what God is calling me to do with my fitness and my food and all that.
That's a great thing.
I know, but I wanted to say that so that people didn't think like, yeah, we're not doing this interview to like find like a hidden, like Ryan has trouble with like food stuff. No. No, because well, I mean, I think there's a very broad scale and like people,
I think everyone is going to go through a phase at some point where food becomes odd in some way and they view it in a way that they never have before.
Yeah.
But I wanted to tap into like the way that you viewed it before me, because you missing out on eating with your friends because you wanted to be healthy, you viewed that as like, oh, I'm driven, as to where someone with my history and my past of going through ED after ED, that's disordered.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we met each other. When we first met each other was like, I had all of my things and the way that I thought about food. Mm-hmm. And you had the way that you thought about food, and you didn't even know the way that I processed eating and mealtime and these kind of things. Like, you didn't even know that existed. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, not at all.
And for me, it was like, I could only dream of thinking about food the way that you thought.
Right.
Like, having no emotional attachment. Like, food is just food. You eat, you move on, you want food, you eat. Like, when we first met, I'm trying to think back of like that time. I was more thinking about you than I was food, but like there were times where I would feel hungry and I would be like, should I eat? Shouldn't I eat? What should I eat? Should I not eat? Blah, blah, blah. As to where if you felt hunger, like, oh, I'm going to go eat. That was literally it. So anyway, so that's where we met. My next question on that is, do you remember... Because I don't even know if I know the answer to this question, but do you remember like the first time that I opened up to you about all my stuff?
I was trying to think, because I obviously knew this conversation was coming. I was trying to think about that, and I really don't, because...
I don't either.
I was trying to think about when it kind of flipped, and I think the biggest change, in my opinion, was when we traveled.
Yeah.
And
I think that's when it got bad, because when we met each other, I was in a healthy place with it.
Yeah. Costa Rica is the first time I remember which would have been May of 2025.
We had been dating for about a year.
No, wait. It would have been May of 2024.
Yeah. So we've been dating about a year.
Yeah, roughly. A little less.
Yeah.
And I just remember like on the trip that was so heightened. Mm-hmm. Like what and where and how we're going to get food. And I had never experienced that before.
So what was that like?
I grew up just somebody picks where we eat and nobody really cares because everybody will just find something. But I feel like for your perspective, one thing that I realized was Abby will check a menu before we go, and it's not to like, oh, let's see what they have. Abby wants to like know, like you wanted to know exactly what you could get from there and if you could eat from there. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I had ever like really... Because you had expressed, the eating stuff with me, the body image stuff with me, but it never really clicked until you actually see it in real time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's whenever I realized, the first time you had because that was whenever it was not good.
Yeah. Yeah. So what Ryan's saying is like when we went on
it's hard for me to explain it.
When we went on this Costa Rica trip, I was just entering getting bad with my eating disorder phase. And around September is when that like turned to binge eating. But around May, I was just very hyper fixated on what I ate, what kind of food I ate, all of the all the sorts of stuff. And so we would decide on where to go eat, and I wouldn't have, my safe foods or the things that I would eat. And so I would check these menus to be like, am I going to be able to eat from here? And, now sometimes like I'll check the menus now just to be like, oh, I kind of want to go ahead and decide what I want so that when I get there.
Oh, it's completely different.
It's completely different. Sometimes I don't even check the menu, but like now whenever we decide where to eat, I just say, y'all pick, I'll find something.
I was going to say,
but just at the time that was not the case at all, and we would change the restaurant if I couldn't find something that fit within my eating patterns and the way that I ate. And I just viewed that as, call it whatever you want, whatever excuse, but deep down I knew it was a problem. And I think Ryan did too, but you just, at the time, that was your first like, oh wow, this is actually... Yeah,
I would say I could analyze that something was going on, but I didn't really know how to like word it. And I still don't, like, I'm not good at verbalizing like what it even is. Abby can like basically pull it out of me.
And that's why I'm asking you the questions.
Yeah. But I will say, back to your second point of you have really come a long way, is like, I think what has really helped is, one, God has just been present in your life. Mm-hmm. And he has really, really renewed your mind on it, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
But I will say we've traveled a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think, thankfully, our job allows us to go different places. And I think that has helped, because what once used to be a trigger for you, like traveling, you didn't have control. I feel like now, even though you've traveled a lot in your life, I feel like with God, you really prioritizing being healthy and God renewing your mind in that and healing your body. I feel like you've also just learned while we're traveling that like, okay, it's okay that I don't have control over every single meal and I'm going to be okay.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And I feel like I've seen that shift personally, like
especially during marriage.
Yeah, that's what I mean. During marriage, like this past year. In Hawaii, yes. I would say more so the last like 6 months.
Yeah. So I want to touch on that. So we get engaged. My binge eating was the first time I feel like you experienced a eating disorder from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. Because it started around, I realized that I was binging in October of 2024. You proposed to me September of 2024. Mm-hmm. And so all that build up, everything that went in through our wedding, and we were starting to spend a lot more time together. You got this house, we were moving all of my stuff in, and then we get married. We get to Hawaii. Well, actually pause. So 2 nights before our wedding, I shared this story on the podcast, but I basically got triggered by some emotional thing that happened. And I reached for the bag of cookies. And prior to this, I had told you like, hey, I'm struggling with this. So you had known like I was struggling with binging. I had finally like admitted it to myself and admitted it to you. Like when I feel sadness or when I want to numb out, I go eat. Mm-hmm. And then I feel sick and I can't stop myself. And so you knew that, you looked out for that. And I remember you coming up to me. It was 2 nights before our wedding, and the wedding cake, that's what it was, the wedding cake.
Yeah.
I was making the wedding cake. Something went wrong. Yeah. I got upset and I reached for the bag of cookies. You came up to me and you pulled me away and you said, hey, let's just go into the other room. And you basically were like, you told me to come to you if I ever saw you reach for food when you're feeling upset. And so this is what I'm doing. And the realization that I had a problem hit me. And I'm explaining this story so that you can go in and tell me your feelings. Yeah. But then I started crying. My mom came in. I said, I don't want my mom. I just want Ryan. And you, against my wishes at the time, which now looking back, I'm very glad you did this because I didn't have my right mind on. But you were like, no, Abby needs her mom. And so mom came in and helped me. And I just remember you watching her kind of just like from my POV, seeing how she cared for me during that time and calmed me down.
Yeah.
So this was 2 days before our wedding. What was your brain like in that situation?
Well, it's hard to remember, right? Because God is...
Oh, I remember.
I know. Well, no. I remember the whole situation. I can see it vividly.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is God is so good in the sense of like, from our wedding weekend... If I ever think about it, I never think about that moment. I think about all the good that we had prior with all of our friends at meals and pickleball, all the things, golf. And I think about our wedding day and how great that was. And then waking up and walking around the wall. Like, I don't ever think about that moment. So first off, God is just so good in the sense of just like, of course he would erase that from my mind,
You know what's funny? What? Not to stop you in the middle of your tracks. But when I think about that situation, because I do remember that very vividly, but the thing that I take away from it and what I remember is a good feeling towards it.
Yeah.
And I think just because it was the first time you had experienced seeing me in that kind of state. And I saw how you reacted and it made me feel very safe and like I'm about to marry someone who's going to take care of me.
Yeah. I think God was just using that moment to like basically showcase that marriage... The wedding day is perfect. Yeah, everything's so great, but the marriage is not. And the reason it's not is because sin entered the world. And I think it's really, really important, especially in those moments, to just like, God, I don't know what to do, but we're just here and we're going to sit here and we're just going to give it all to you. And that's really like, whenever I was sitting there trying to figure out what, I guess like, all right, how do I solve this? It's like, I can't solve something like this. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a mental health coach. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a pastor. I am a husband. Well, soon to be husband. I was still a fiance at that point.
Weird. I was like 48 hours. And fun.
Yeah. I'm still a partner. And what I can do is just sit there and just be present. And like, hey, any needs that you need me to meet, I'll do my best to meet them. I don't have any wisdom for you. I don't have any answers for you. But I'm willing to sit here and be with you where you're at, kind of like, what Jesus would want us to do, I feel like.
Yeah.
So then your mom has been able to be with you in those moments that you've been. And I was like, I don't know how to react in this situation. It's not like I was, doing anything bad, but I know your mom was able to comfort you. So I wasn't letting your words hold much meaning whenever you were like, no. And I was like, you need your mom.
But I think that's the beauty of marriage, is that like you loved me so much that you knew what I needed at a time that I couldn't think straight for myself. Yeah. And so rather than like, oh, okay, Abby said this, you knew deep down, but this is what she needs. And I love her enough to give her what she needs. I think that's just male and female as well. Like, men are more logically sound and women are very in touch with their emotions, and they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. Like, that's just the way the Lord created us. You can't deny science. Like, look up all the studies. That's just how we are. But I think that was a great example of that. It was like, okay, but logically, like, she needs this. She needs her mom. Her mom's been with her through every eating disorder thus far. I'm not going to try to play macho man and step in and solve it. I'm just going to sit here and be with her. And the Bible says, like, mourn with those who mourn. And that you were just sitting with me where I was at. And that's what I needed. And so transitioning from we get married to now we're living in Hawaii together, living together for the first time, full 24-hour periods spent together over and over and over again. And my binge eating disorder didn't just magically disappear, but I also was in a state where I was like, I cut out exercise. I was just like, I'm focusing on my husband, and it was amazing. It was great. But we were there for a solid 5 weeks, and we had a couple times where I really felt bad about my body because I finally had made the promise to myself, to you, to God, that I'm going to try to get my period back. I'm going to try to nip this binge eating disorder in the bud, and I'm going to get my health in check. I'm going to stop over exercising. I'm going to stop under recovering. Like, I'm going to be the best version of myself. And all of those things had just developed over engagement season. I was very stressed and led myself down scary paths, but Hawaii was that time where all of those things started coming up. And so for you, like, what was that like on those hard nights where I would just sit and tear my body apart and tell you, like, I feel ugly, I feel gross, I feel this, I feel that? First of all, how does that make you feel as a husband?
Well, I feel like anybody that is in close relation to somebody that's talking like that, it breaks their heart, right? It sucks hearing that, and it almost like angered me because it was like my wife. You're talking about my best friend like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody gossiping about your best friend or your love of your life. Like, it was like somebody was gossiping about my wife or talking bad about them, and that really angered me because I knew what you were saying. You like meant it and you felt it, and that really it really like put it like it made me angry. And sometimes I didn't react in the best way because I just didn't know how to. And I feel like I went into fixer mode, solve mode. Yeah. And the reason I did is because it made me mad. And I was like, no, she should not think like that. And it was out of protection, but that's not what you needed in that moment.
Right. But you had to learn that. That's the thing. Is that, like, you had very good intentions and like, okay, there's a problem, let's fix it. Yeah. But the way your brain works and the way my brain works are very different. And there was a lot of that in Hawaii of like, okay, Abby feels very upset. She's having a bad body image day. And I was sharing all those thoughts with you as you wanted me to. It's not like you didn't want me to tell you these things. And I think for anyone listening that may be similar to us in this situation, like, definitely share with your partner what you're feeling, because communication is key. Honesty is key.
100%.
But that doesn't mean it's easy, and it's hard to share those things with someone who doesn't understand what that feels like. And when we got back from Hawaii, we were still kind of in the same place, but if I'm being honest, I think the days got more in quantity and harder as for body image days. Like, I remember August being really hard. And I don't know if you remember this, but like, I was always in sweatshirts. There were days where I would come back and like cry on the floor because I just couldn't get myself to do anything that day because I just felt so horrible in my own skin. And you sat with me through it all, asking me what I needed. I mean, all that kind of stuff. Was there ever a moment where you yourself felt like you wanted to give up or you didn't know what to do? Or like, was there ever just a breaking point that you had within all of my struggles?
No, absolutely not. And I would admit if I did, but the hardest part, especially I feel like in these moments, and I can speak to the boyfriend or the husband or whatever trying to help their significant other through this, is the hardest part is not having any control over it. So you want to fix something. You want to give like this crazy revelation from God on how you can fix it. And you're in prayer and all these things. And you're like, there's nothing I can do. And the quicker you realize that there is nothing that you can do. And when I say nothing you can do, I mean, there's nothing you can fix, especially immediately, because this is something deeper. The easier it becomes to just sit there and just be with them. And it doesn't even have to be about anything, eating, body image, just meet a need where you can meet it. So like, is there anything I can do right now to make your life easier or better? I didn't learn that on my own. Jesus taught me that. But I think that really, really helped, was just like, all right, I'm done trying to fix. Because it only, when you try and fix something or you try and find a solution to a problem that you can't solve, it's either going to make you push away, it's going to make you mad, it's going to bring out these feelings that are not good feelings, especially when you're trying to sit there with somebody that's going through like a mental health issue.
When did you start learning how to pivot your tactics?
It was in Hawaii. Whenever we were on a walk, you know exactly when it was.
I do remember that I was having a horrible body image day. I felt like so bad. Go ahead.
You can tell the story so much better than I can. It wasn't my best moment.
So we go on a walk. Ryan's like, okay, I was like laying in bed and I was like, I feel horrible.
And this is post honeymoon. So
yeah.
like, I just want to say like our honeymoon was amazing. Like God was so good.
We had a little over a week of like honeymoon. And then while we were in Hawaii, like then we got back to work and stuff. So it's still like we were operating in regular life. We both work remote. So we were very blessed to be able to do that.
And I was just going to say, like, people probably see our Instagram and think like, I thought you said your honeymoon was so great. Like, no, it was great. Like, we didn't have any of this.
But those things can coexist. Like
exactly.
We have a great marriage, but that doesn't mean we never fight. It doesn't mean we never have conflict and we agree on everything and it's always sunshine and roses.
I just wanted to set like the timetable. Yeah. Because it can be kind of fuzzy if people are just like looking back.
And we're extremely grateful that we were able to go. But yeah, I was just, the worst. Feeling the worst about my body, like to the point where I couldn't do anything. It was bad.
I literally remember where we were walking.
Yeah. Yep.
Right by the Aloha sign on the road that we lived on.
In the North Shore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I was laying in bed and Ryan was like, "Come on, we've got to get up. Like you've got to get moving." Like I had laid around all day.
I had just got done with work.
So we got up and I was like holding my shirt out because I didn't want it to touch my stomach. Like that's where I was at. And I was just on the verge of tears, silent, didn't say anything. Like I was just unable to give anything to this man. And Ryan started asking me questions, being very direct because he speaks in a very direct tone. And he was just like, "What do you think the root of this is?" Like, what?
I was asking questions very directly because my mindset was, we are figuring this out right now. Mm-hmm. We are getting over this. And what I didn't realize was it was much deeper than just figuring it out.
Or like a bad day.
Yes.
And so that to me, it just stressed me out and it made me feel like I was a problem and I already was telling myself that I was a problem and it sent me down a spiral of like, I don't know what to do. There was just so much going on with my head and I tried to verbalize that to him. But when you're already so low and don't have any energy to operate for yourself, it's so difficult to then share the thought processes that you have with someone else because you don't even know the extent of the thought processes that you're having. So we just basically fought and split up. He walked one way, I walked the other. And that night ended with me crying outside and him sitting inside. And it was just bad. And then we come together and we just talk and it's confusing and hard. And in that moment, that day, I don't think you necessarily understood, but you knew you messed up and you apologized and you were willing to learn with me. But it wasn't like a light switch of like, oh, and now I know what to do. I think it just gradually happened over time, but you knew, okay, this is not the way to help my wife. And we both ended that knowing that we're on the same team and we're trying to come to a product that benefits us both, but our ways about going about it have to change. And it's not a change that we feel like we are forced to make. It's a change that we want to make because we love each other. Okay, so now looking into the future of children way on down the line, okay?
Yeah, just like 9 months from now.
What are
wink, wink.
What are things that you're going to look out for on how you talk about food, exercise, body image, relationship with your body, XYZ, of like things you're going to be mindful of how you talk about these things around our kids? For example, like our parents grew up in the generation of like, I can't believe it's not butter and low fat this, and I'm going to do a juice cleanse. And nothing against my parents at all, but I just grew up in the world like seeing them try juice cleanses and things because that's what they thought was like good at the time, and everyone has their opinions on those things, but we kind of have a lot of knowledge now of like fad diets are not the best thing for you and this, that, and the other. But even statements of other people in my life that have been like, oh, I'll have a cookie because I'm being bad, or I'm gonna work out so that I can eat today, or these things that are very common. What are your thoughts around like how we want to raise up our children, if you've even thought about it at all, that you're more aware of now that maybe you weren't before we met each other?
That's a good question. I think the biggest thing would be the importance of fueling yourself and eating food that is whole and that God has intended us to eat. And I feel like I've learned that from you too, is just like, we're not eating a certain way to look like we're trying to be a bodybuilder. We're not eating a certain way to indulge and just eat however we want that makes us happy. I think it's more so of just like how do we honor God in this, and how would he want us to eat and fuel our bodies?
Yeah. Definitely. I feel like too, it's easy to like say one thing and do another.
Yeah.
I want our kids to grow up seeing us eat the way that they should eat, meaning like I'm not going to tell my child to eat 3 meals a day and 2 snacks and then starve myself all day and have a salad at night, because then what we do means so much more to young brains than what we say. Like what they see us doing is what they're going to replicate and what they're going to try to do. And so I just feel like that's also something very interesting of like, say it's Christmas and we're all making cookies together and, whatever, you don't have to eat cookies all the time, but if your child makes you a cookie and is like, hey dad, I made you this cookie, you can't be like, sorry, sweetie, like I'm being good. Yeah. I mean, again, if you're like on a certain diet or whatever, that's between you and God.
Yeah.
But to look at your child and be like, cookies are bad for you. That is so impressionable for those young minds. I'd rather be like, a cookie is a treat. And if you eat it on an empty stomach, it may not make you feel great. So let's eat something that makes you feel good and fills you up so that you can have, just reframing the way that we say these things and not like force yourself to eat your vegetables so that you can have the really fun thing. Like, no, like vegetables are very, very good for you and will make you feel very good and very strong. And then we can have the things that may taste better. Just those little things. And it might be nitpicking it too much, but I think I'm just hyper cautious about how young brains are going to be formed around food. Because I still think like, oh, desserts are bad, and salads are good, but like you could have a salad that's 0 calories and a cookie that's like 200 calories, and you may need calories for the day. So in that instance, the cookie is the better thing for your body. It's just, there's so many things to think about.
Yeah. I think the important thing is, the word gets thrown around a lot, but balance. Nothing is good and nothing is nothing is the best and nothing is the worst. I feel like, especially, it might have been like this back then, but especially now, I feel like everything is just like, that is the worst thing and you do need none of that. That is the best thing and you can only do that. It's like, no, really the important part is just let's eat whole foods most of the time, and it's okay to enjoy something else as well.
In moderation.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, so a guy comes to you and he's like...
A who?
A guy.
Oh, okay.
And he comes to you and he's like, dude, my girlfriend is not eating. I don't know what to tell her. She thinks she's ugly and overweight and needs to lose all this weight, but she's not eating anything and she doesn't need to lose weight. What do I do?
Wow, that's a great question.
Which there's a lot of nuances to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, first off, like, have they talked about it? That would be my first question. Like, have you guys actually, has it been brought up? Because the one thing if I've learned is that if the person with the issue doesn't see it as an issue, then it's probably not like if they don't want to get better or if they don't see it as a problem, then likely they're not yet ready to fix. So the first step would be, no, don't ignore it. Like talk to them about it, but they might be in denial. But it'll be great that you actually bring it up because it might get them to realize things that they haven't already seen in themselves. You just have to do it in a way that is gentle and kind and not in a, hey, I'm trying to fix you. You are a project. No, they're your significant other. They're your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, and you're coming at them as a best friend, as a partner, saying like, hey, I've noticed this, and this. It might be something in my head, but I just wanted to bring it to you to see if it's something that's been affecting you.
So what if they're like, I've talked to them, but they say nothing's wrong. And, I don't want them to get mad at me, but I do know something's wrong. Like they're going days without eating. They're not eating at all, but I don't want them to get mad at me.
Yeah, it's time to bring somebody else in. Probably who, if this has been a pattern in their life, somebody that has seen it, and you don't have to do it by yourself. So if it's not working just the two of you having that conversation and it's becoming a problem, you got to bring others in, whether that's really close friends in your small group, whether that's family of their side, whether that's a professional, like, maybe, talking to a pastor or talking to elders at the church. You got to bring other people in to the situation because sometimes it's very, very easy for the significant other to just downplay what the other person's saying. It's like whenever your parent is nagging you about something and you're a kid and it's like you're so close with them, you can just be like, shut up. They're just like trying to be in my life or whatever and like trying to control me. But if you bring other people in and it's like, oh wait, all these other people have these perspectives, it might change that person's perspective. At least I feel like. I
think too, be prepared for them to push back, because more oftentimes than not, if you're hitting on a nail that actually is true, but they're trying to hide, they're going to be defensive. Coming from someone who that was their story. If I was ever in a season where things were rough and time was hard and I was not fueling myself properly or I was treating my body horribly and someone close to me brought it up to me, more oftentimes than not, I would get really defensive about it. Very, very defensive about it. I mean, for example, during Costa Rica, like my family would say things about like how they were concerned, and I would come to you and I would be like, oh, why are they saying this? And why are they doing this? I had an issue. Like I had a problem that I needed to fix. Now, there are definitely, again, this is very general. There are always going to be those cases where your story is different than mine, but be prepared for some pushback if you are telling someone something they don't want to hear because they don't fully have their right mind. The eating disorder is mental. It's not just like, oh, you just need to eat food and then it'll get better. That's not how it works. And that took a lot of time for you to understand.
Yeah.
I remember there was one time I was like telling you something about someone, like some person online or something, like someone I didn't know, but they were like talking about an eating disorder or something. And I was like they had like shared their story online and I was sharing that with Ryan. And I was like, yeah, they were talking about how they're struggling. You didn't mean this in a mean way at all, but you were just like, how come they don't just eat? And I was like, Ryan, you've been with me long enough to know the answer to the question you just asked, and you kind of just took a step back and you were like, oh, duh. Like, it was like it all came back to you and you were like, oh, duh. Like, old Ryan peeked out for a minute and then you were like, oh, wait, I'm literally married to you. Like, I now realize that is not a thing that just heals an eating disorder.
Yeah, it's funny how much I've learned since that. It's crazy, but it's people that are listening to this that just know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you
people that are listening to this just know.
It's like if you haven't been through something along the lines of an eating disorder or a exercise disorder or something of that sort, if you haven't been through it or been around someone who has been through it, there's definitely an awareness, I think, in today's, like in the media and stuff, it's hard to get away from. There's a lot of information about it now, which I think is incredible, but there's nothing like actually going through it and understanding it. Like if you've been through it or been through it with someone who's going through it, you have this understanding and then you can spot it with other people. Like I definitely think you have more of an awareness now to spot it. Mm-hmm. Like if we were in a group setting, this hasn't happened I don't think, but if we were in a group setting and someone was showing ED tendencies that like I had been through, you would be able to see it.
Yeah I think I definitely have grown an awareness to it 100%,
which makes me feel so loved. And
one thing that Abby thinks that I am really bad at and that I need to work on is my awareness skills.
Okay.
It's true. Can't say it's not.
I don't think this is a downfall at all, but okay, you need to give context, because I was like, the question we asked each other was, what is something we can work on? It wasn't like I just randomly was like, you're not aware. Like, it was like, oh, actually there's a sense of awareness that no. The question was, what do you see in other couples that they have that you wish I had? Yeah. That was the question.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law has this innate awareness about him, which I've told everyone in my family this. Shout out Zach if you're watching. Zach is very good at just being aware of what Morgan needs without her even having to say it. And you have amazing strengths that Zach doesn't have, or that many other men don't have. Awareness is like something that I think maybe we could put some more time and energy into, just because like I'll be crying in the bedroom and Ryan will
Whoa, this is extreme. I feel like this is gonna make me
I don't know
horrible.
An example, like
crying in the bedroom. What were you gonna end that with?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, you might think I'm just watching TV in there.
Oh my god.
And I don't know, it just something to where it's like you're just so go with the flow that you're like, unless the house is burning down, like, we're all good. I don't know. But I do think that's also a strength, because I'm someone who overanalyzes and overthinks a lot, and I need your calm energy, and it's all going to be okay, and it's not that deep energy. Yeah. Like, on a real note, I need that. Mm-hmm. I think we balance each other out very well.
Yeah, for sure.
In that front. Kind of to wrap this up, something that I don't know why I keep thinking about kids, but I think it's just really encouraging. Stop making that face. To like us as a couple.
Every time I get on this podcast, I make jokes about kids.
But I don't know, just like.
Because a dog is coming.
As we talk about growing a family, again, later on, it's just very encouraging to know that whatever child we either adopt or bring into this world or whatever, they're going to grow up with two parents, know how to speak truth over them, and are going to try their very best to bring them up in a way that they view their body as a vessel and not as like a product. And I hope and pray that our child does not experience the same experiences that I did, but I'm also extremely grateful for everything that I went through, because it made me who I am today. And I think it's a really big part of our story as a couple as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me think of the movie last night, Prayer Room. You better
War
Room.
War Room.
Yeah. Prayer. But it's basically a prayer.
Yeah. Good movie if you guys.
You better get in that closet and start praying for it.
Get in the closet and start praying. Ryan and I have been on a movie kick right now, a Christian movie kick. We watched The Forge. Priscilla Shire was in both of these, and War Room. Both of them are incredible.
Yeah, I meant to talk about this at the beginning of the episode. Abby and I watch a lot of TV. We watch a lot of movies. We love it. We love it. We love talking about them like during. It's like one of our fun little things that we do. Mm-hmm. The last 2 nights we've watched a very Jesus-centered movie. And yes, there's some cheesiness in them. But they were incredible movies.
It makes me want to stop watching any secular thing ever.
They were so... It really encouraged my faith.
Yes, me too. Literally, me too. I'm still thinking about The Forge. Mm-hmm. Still.
Great movies. Both
of those movies were focused around prayer a lot.
Both on Netflix too, which seems odd.
Good. We need more Jesus in Hollywood.
I know. I'm just saying. Doesn't seem like those are the type of movies that would be on Netflix.
Right. But I think entertainment is so impactful. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just very motivating and kind of helps me check myself of like, okay, what are you filling your brain with? Because if you watch these Christian movies and they're having this much of an impact on you, what other things are you filling your brain with? Because that's having an impact on you just the same, if not more. Yeah. Like quantity wise. So like might as well fill your brain with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Just something to think about.
Something to feast on.
Feast. Very fitting for this podcast, talking about food. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Ryan, thank you for letting me interview you, pick your brain about all of these things that we've been through together and share our story.
I really enjoyed this,
wifey. I'm glad that you did. In the new year, Ryan will be on 2 podcasts a month. I will be doing...
you guys heard that.
The other one solo, because we need a little girl chat every once in a while. But
everybody's
I'm
sad.
excited to have you on as a part-time co-host again.
Yeah, really excited. I miss these conversations.
Yeah, me too. This was episode 2 in the health and wellness category series. That's the word I was looking for. Series this month. And stay tuned for what next month is going to be. Again, follow the Instagram, That's Life Poddy, Poddy, because I put out all sorts of get your input kind of things on the story. And by I mean Ryan, because he runs it. But we get your ideas for what to talk about on this podcast. So if you want an input on what your ears are going to be listening to, go follow their shameless plug. But also, for real, we take all of your input on that Instagram. So any last words?
No, really, really enjoyed the conversation. I hope it benefits somebody.
Me too.
And I just love you so much.
I love you so much. And we love you so much. And Jesus loves you guys so much. And
that's life.
That's life. See you guys next week.